Good evening. Welcome to the July 9th, 2021 meeting of the Hyde Park Zoning Board of Appeals. Will each of the members please confirm that they are alone or no one is present that may influence his or her vote? You'll raise your hand, please.
Jim Agarwal.
Yes, everybody is confirmed. Thank you. Okay. I've confirmed with the Zoning Board's counsel that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the New York State Executive Order 202.1, which suspends certain provisions of the open meeting laws to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing. Public has been provided with the ability to view and participate in tonight's meeting, which is being streamed on the town's YouTube channel. I've done a roll call of the board members and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I've also confirmed with the zoning secretary that this meeting has been duly noticed. We will now commence with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first bit of business is the Haas appeal, the 21-03Z. This is the first item. It's on the agenda, and it's a notice of an appeal of a notice of violation issued by our zoning administrator with respect to an alleged violation of the zoning law at 290 Cream Street by the owner, Ronald Haas. We have a resolution, and we will read that resolution at this point. This resolution is for Ronald Haas Wildlife Properties, LLC, 290 Cream Street, Poughkeepsie, New York, 12601. This is resolution 20-03Z dated June 9th, 2021. Whereas the applicant Wildlife Properties has submitted an appeal of notice of violation issued by the zoning administrator regarding alleged violations of the zoning law and the conditions of a use variance granted to allow a building contractor's facility and office, the appeal at the property located at 290 Cream Street, identified as tax parcel 6263-03-387480 in the Greenbelt zoning district, the site. And whereas the resolution dated April 22nd, 2009, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted a use variance to permit the use of the site as a building contractor's facility and office with a freestanding sign not to exceed 30 square feet, the use variance. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the zoning administrator's February 16, 2021 notice of violation and order and remedy is upheld and additionally modified to the extent it is inconsistent with the following findings. The Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the use of the site is unpermitted as it at least in part constitutes more than the approved building contractor's facility and office. The use of the site constitutes at least in part a scrapyard because it contains more than 100 square feet of land or structures that have been used for more than 30 days for the dismantling or an accumulation of used and discarded materials outside of a completely enclosed building. The applicant did not obtain site plan and special use permit approvals for the operation of a scrapyard at the site and has therefore violated the section 108-4.1b, 108-8.2, and 108-9.2b of the zoning law. The use of the site constitutes at least in part a general commercial use other than a building contractor's facility and office. The site has been and upon information and belief continues to be used for retail sales of materials stored therein. This use exceeds that of the contractor's facility and office, which is limited in the use variance to consist only of a business office, accessory parking of vehicles, incidental assembly and modification of components used to facilitate off-site construction projects, and storage. General commercial uses are not permitted in the Greenbelt District without a use variance, and the applicant has therefore violated the section 108-4.1b of the zoning law. Number 3, the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the use of the site is unpermitted as it, at least in part, violates the conditions of the use variance. The use of the site for the outdoor storage of demolition materials violates condition 2 of the use variance. The applicant has therefore violated the section 108-33-5E of the zoning law. B, the use of the site for outdoor storage in areas other than the 25 by 28 foot area designated on the approved site plan violates condition 3 of the use variance. The applicant has therefore violated the section 108-33.5E of the zoning law. Number 4, the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the use of the site is unpermitted as it, at least in part, violates the conditions of the Planning Board's site plan approval for the site. A, the use of the site for outdoor storage in areas other than the 25 by 28 foot enclosed area and for retail sales within a temporary structure on the site is not depicted on the site plan or permitted by the Planning Board's site plan approval for the site. The applicant has therefore violated the section 108-9.2B of the zoning law. Number 5, a copy of this decision shall be filed with the town clerk, the zoning administrator, the building inspector, and the secretary of the planning board within 5 days of the adoption of this resolution. May I have a second?
Second.
Second. Would the secretary take roll, please?
James Agrawal,
Yes.
Paul Donnelly, absent. Richard Perkins,
Yes.
John Scalepi,
yes,
David McNary,
Yes. This resolution passes. Thank you very much. Second item of business tonight is the hospice sign area variance. It's an application from Timely Signs of Kingston for Hudson Valley Hospice located at 542 Violet Avenue, Hyde Park. The applicant seeks an area variance to change the maximum logo size from 10 inches to 23.5 inches on the sign. We do have a resolution, I think. Would somebody make that move and read that, please?
I'm
We have
happy to
two
read it.
resolutions.
Yeah.
First is the determination of significance.
Yes, I'll jump in. We have two resolutions. The first is to adopt a determination of significance under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. I've prepared a EAF Part 2 and 3 for the board's consideration, which I understand you have all received and reviewed. It finds that no or a insignificant impact would occur in all of the environmental considerations listed on the EAF Part 2, and that generally the area variance to increase the size of a logo on a sign would not result in significant adverse effects on the environment. So the first resolution before you is essentially a resolution to adopt those findings under SECRA.
And Jim, would you
Sure.
read that, please?
A resolution adopting a secret determination of significance, Hudson Valley Hospice, 542 Violet Avenue and 31 East Dorsey Lane. Dated today, resolution 21-05Z-1. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby determines that the project will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared.
Second.
Secretary, would you take a poll, please?
James Agrawal,
Yes.
Paul Donnelly, is absent. Richard Perkins,
Yes.
John Scalepi,
yes,
David McNary.
Yes. The motion carries. Now, there's a second motion.
Yep. Resolution to grant an area variance, Hudson Valley Hospice, 542 Violet Avenue and 31 East Dorsey Lane. Dated today, resolution 21-05Z-2. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the zoning, oops, I can't see when I gotta move my, okay, there we go. Now therefore be it resolved that zoning board of appeals makes the following findings in accordance with section 267-B of the town law and Hyde Park zoning law, section 108-33.6B2 regarding the requested variance. 1, the requested variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby property. The increased dimension for the sign's flower symbol allows the applicant to easily and effectively represent itself to passerbys traveling along Violet Avenue, aka Route 9G. The sign design is aesthetically pleasing and the scale of the symbol is proportionate to the monument sign on which it is displayed. The increase in the permissible symbol height will therefore not have a significant impact on the neighborhood or negatively affect nearby properties. 2, the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The applicant wishes to display their logo in order to represent itself to passerbys and alert potential visitors of its location. Due to the scale of the flower in the applicant's logo relative to the size of the lettering within the logo, requiring the flower symbol to be 10 inches in height would result in lettering ranging from approximately 2 to 3.6 inches in height. Such lettering would not be feasible for a commercial entity's entrance sign. The applicant could potentially reduce the height of the flower symbol without changing the height of the letters, but doing so would be less aesthetically pleasing and may make portions of the sign less easily discernible. 3, the requested variance is numerically substantial as the permitted dimension for the size of a symbol or graphic on the sign will increase by 13.5 inches, which is 135%. However, as discussed herein, the impacts of the requested variance will not be substantial. 4, the requested variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the general neighborhood or district. Allowing the symbol height to be larger than what is permitted by the zoning law would not result in the sign having any significant additional impact on the environment. In addition, as discussed above, the impacts of the requested variance on the site and neighborhood will be minimal. There will be no ground disturbance as a result of the area variance, and the impact to the environment would be approximately the same if the quote flower symbol were zoning compliant. 5, the difficulties are self-created. Be it further resolved that the zoning board of appeals hereby grants the requested variance subject to the following condition: 1, payment of all fees and escrow.
Do we have a second for this resolution? Okay, John. Madam Secretary, would you take the poll, please?
James Agrawal,
Yes.
Paul Donnelly is absent. Richard Perkins,
yes,
John Scalepi,
yes,
David McNary.
Yes, this motion passes. The third item of business is a resolution for Catherine and Michael Dubois, 21 Roosevelt Road. Do we have that resolution available?
I'll go ahead and read that.
Please.
Resolution to grant an area variance, Catherine and Michael Dubois, 21 Roosevelt Road, Hyde Park, New York, 12538. Dated today, resolution 21-08Z. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings in accordance with section 267-B of the town law and Hyde Park zoning law, section 33.6B2 regarding the requested variance. 1, the requested variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. The site contains a single-family dwelling. The requested variance would allow the applicants to construct an above-ground pool on a property with a house already built within the stream corridor. Additionally, the pool will not have an adverse effect on the neighbors or neighborhood. In parentheses, a pool was already constructed on the property in the rear of the house. The granting of the variance will not adversely affect the neighborhood district since the above-ground pool will not have a significant adverse effect on the watershed or stream. 2, the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The pool will be properly situated for the applicant's enjoyment at the rear of the house. 3, the requested variance may be considered numerically substantial as the permitted setback will decrease from 100 to 25 feet, a variance of 75%. However, as discussed herein, the impacts of the requested variance will not be substantial. 4, the requested variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the general neighborhood or district. The requested variance will allow the construction of a pool in a previously disturbed area where a smaller pool existed. The construction and use of a larger pool will result in insignificant ground disturbance and will not cause new significant adverse impacts to the stream or other surface water resources. Therefore, the requested variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the environment. 5, the difficulties are self-created. Be it further resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants the requested variance subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, payment of all fees in escrow. Condition 2, old or excess pool water cannot be discharged directly into the stream.
McNary will second the resolution. Would you take the roll?
James Agrawal,
Yes.
Richard Perkins,
Yes.
John Scalepi,
Yes.
David McNary.
Yes. Resolution passes. This concludes the business for the meeting tonight. Is there any other business brought before us at this point? None?
I'm good.
Or I will entertain a resolution for adjournment.
Make a resolution to adjourn.
Second, John,
Yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
gotta think about that.
Thank you very much. The next meeting will be on July, when's the next meeting?
June 23rd.
June 23rd, Wednesday, June 23rd, at 7 o'clock. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Everybody have a nice weekend coming up and stay